Okay, so now I've cut out my pieces, my neckband and my sleeve band, and they're really just strips. I'm going to hold them that way so you can see, and you can see they're kind of equally spread over the stripes like that. So neckband and the sleeve band like this. So now I have all my pieces cut out. I have my blouse back, I have my sleeve bands, I have my neckband cut in exactly the same way as the sleeve bands, I have my back yoke, I have my pair of sleeves, and I have my front. I'm all good to go. So here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to now join my sleeve bands and my neckband to make loops, and I'm going to prepare my blouse back. And I'm going to prepare my blouse back, well, you'll see why. You'll see why, especially when it comes to finishing it and putting all the body together. What I'm going to do for the blouse back is I'm going to hem the bottom, the curved bottom, and I'm going to run a row of gathering stitches along the top, but I'm not going to gather them up there. That's for the next time. However, just to really throw a little spanner in the works, I'm actually going to make 2 of these blouse back tees, and there is a reason for this. I want you to see how different sewing methods and different sewing machines give you actually quite a similar result. This one is going to be used, I think, I'm going to use a normal machine for this, the one that you'll do straight stitches with, but I'm going to use zigzag for this, because zigzag will give us some stretch. And for this one, this is a really nice broken stripe, which means you can't knit it, it has to be printed, because it kind of looks like quite painterly. I'm going to do this one on my 4-thread overlocker, which is how I would normally make a t-shirt, but I also know that a lot of people don't have overlockers, or they might just not want to use them. So you can make almost all the t-shirt on a 4-thread overlocker. You can certainly make all the t-shirt on a normal standard machine just using a zigzag stitch. So overlocker version, ordinary machine version, and so you can see the difference in the stitches as well. And this is really especially for people who perhaps haven't sewn in a while, or they haven't got an overlocker, or they're not sure if they should invest in one. I personally would, but you'll still get a really good result using just a standard zigzag on a standard machine. Okay, we're now ready to start putting our smaller pieces together, and I'm going to start with the blue broken stripe. And you may have noticed the sleeves and the body, the front certainly, and the yoke are done in this thicker broken stripe, and this is done in the same base fabric and the same colours, but a narrow broken stripe. So I've got a little bit of contrast going on, but not so much. So I'm going to join the 2 short ends of my neckband here to make a loop. I'm going to do that on the overlocker. I'm going to do the same thing with the sleeve bands. I suspect I may be shortening this neckband at some point, because this fabric is, oh, it's very stretchy. But I'm going to start with it as it is. This is why I didn't put the notches in, remember? So I'm going to do that first. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edge or rather finish the edge of the curved bottom on the blouse back with my overlocker. I don't need to. You don't need to finish the edges of knits because they don't fray. But I'm just doing it really more as a kind of a guideline for where I have to press it to turn it under. So it's a useful thing to do. So let's just do that, and we'll see how that turned out. And I will come up very, very close to the camera to show you how it's come out. Now, when it comes to the seam through the neckband and the sleeve bands, it doesn't have to stretch lengthways. It doesn't even have to stretch widthways, really. But I'm going to use the same kind of overlocking stitch that I would for making the entire t-shirt. And of course, we love an overlocker because it just cleans off the edges, because there's a nice clean edge. So even with my rather creative cutting, it's still going to be nice and neat. This is actually a really nice knit. It's kind of almost like got a dry, slightly crepey texture to it. So it's a really nice one. It's rayon, about 5% So now that edge is cleaned off, you can't really see it up close, but I will come up and show you when I've pressed it before I stitch it. Okay, so this is the bottom edge of the blouse back on the blue one. That's the one we're making mainly with the 4-thread overlocker. And you can see I've overlocked the edge just to give it a clean edge and just to kind of give me a marker for where I'm going to press. And then I've pressed it up 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to go now and use the straight stitch machine. I think or this is one of the few parts, there's two parts of this to use a straight stitch machine, whether you like it or not. That is to clean off this hem and just make that a nice neat hem. So sewing through both thicknesses on the one, even though we're using the overlock with the rest of it, that's going to finish that hem. Okay, so for my black and white version, I'm going to be using a normal sewing machine. This one, of course, does the straight stitches, obviously, and it also does various zigzag stitches, the ones that go like that. And yet you're wondering what this is. Let me quickly explain it to you. I tend to use these large cones of thread for pretty much everything because I do a lot of sewing. And of course the spindle here isn't set up for that. So I got some bamboo skewers and put them over with a couple of hair ties, and that kind of does it, that kind of holds that on. So it's kind of a bodge, but it works for me, so no judgment please. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. For the black and white version, I've got a white blouse back. And just to help me, I'm going to work a very narrow row of just straight stitches, just big kind of basting stitches along the curved edge, this curved edge here, the curved hem edge. And that's going to show me where I should take my first turning when I press it up to do the hem. Some people would say use a hemming foot for this. I'm going to say, seriously, on this kind of knit, not going to happen. You're really, I find, better off with a fine knit like this to do it steady, stage by stage. Do a row of stitching, turn it up again, so you're turning it twice, and then stitch it properly. I will show you this very, very closely when it's in different stages. But the other thing to bear in mind with this, of course, is that the bottom edge of this hem doesn't need to stretch, so it can be a perfectly straight stitch when you end up actually stitching it into the hem. So don't be alarmed about zigzags or anything like that for the moment. We're just going to do a nice, very narrow row of stitching all the way along the end. I'm going to do that. I'm going to set my... Oh, the other thing to say is this. When you are sewing knits, you must choose the correct needle, both in size, in terms of size, but also you'll be offered many needles. You'll be offered things for jersey, a jersey needle. You'll be offered universal needles, which kind of sew most things because they're universal. But the one I normally choose, almost 9 times out of 10 for almost every fabric, are ballpoint needles. And that's because they go through very tightly woven fabrics really, really beautifully, especially knits, especially those kind of microfibery knits. So I tend to go for ballpoint unless I'm sewing denim, when I use a denim needle, or leather, when I use a leather needle, or something very, very fine, then I use a very, very fine needle. You want one, yes, you want a ballpoint needle, in my humble opinion, and you will have a very good result from that. So I've got a ballpoint needle, and I'm now going to work, yep, I've put it on. I've got an option of stitch length from 0, which is kind of there, it will just stay where it is, up to 5. So I'm going to do it like 4. So it's just really a guideline stitch. So I'm just going to do that all the way along the edge, and I'm using my foot here, my presser foot, as a guide. I'm going to do it kind of just a little bit over half the width of the outside edge of the presser foot. So about a third total presser foot width. So here we go. And on things like this, speed is not necessary. It's more important that you do a good job, that you're precise and you make things look pretty. So unless you've got a real rush and a real deadline, just slow it down, because there's no extra points for finishing 20 minutes early or having it look a bit skew-iff. So take your time and do a beautiful job. Here is our bottom edge of our blouse back on the one that we're using an ordinary machine for, not an overlock machine. So you can see I've done my stitch line here. I hope you can see that. And then I've gone in and I've pressed it up along that stitch line. Very useful, that's what it's for. And then once I've pressed it once, I've gone in and I have pressed it. Just make sure I can fold it up where the press line actually is. There, I've pressed it again, so you've got a nice neat seam. So now, or rather a nice neat hem. Now I'm going to go and actually hem it, and that's ready to be put onto the rest of the garment, but only when I've done my other bit, my last piece that we need to do. So that's how the inside of the hems look. That's the one with the blue stripes that we've done with the overlocked edge, and that's the one with the double turned edge. That's what it looks like on the inside. Flip them over, and I think you can see they pretty much look the same on the outside. So that's our hems done. And the final thing that you must do, well, you don't have to do it right now, but I suggest you do, is work your gathering stitches. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, here's your gathering stitches. I'm not sure you can actually see so well the ones on the white, but I know for sure that you'll be able to see the ones on the blue, or I'm hoping for sure you'll be able to see them. It's quite a wide zigzag, and the important thing to remember when you're doing a zigzag row for gathering is to work the row with the right side of the fabric facing up. You'll see why when we draw it in. Okay, so now I'm going to be creating my neckband and sleeve band loops in my black and white fabric. Don't forget, this is the one I'm using my standard machine for. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you something. Normally, when we stitch things, useless pen, let's get another one. When we stitch things, that's what our stitches look like. That's what they look like when we're stitching things normally. When we do a zigzag, we could do a narrow zigzag if we wanted, which would go kind of like that. Yes, yes? All right, we're not doing that this time. What we want to do is quite a shallow zigzag. Like this, shallow and wide. Because this, where these, where that line is there, that's your seam line there. So you want your zigzags to hit there. And this is going to be, that's your cut edge. Okay? So as I said before, knits don't fray. So we don't worry too much about the fact that they're not going to be cleaned off as you would with an overlocker. But you're going to sew with your needle going in the widest part of your zigzag along the seam line. And that's what I'm going to do with these, with the neck and sleeve bands. I don't actually need to do that, they don't need to stretch, but I'm doing it for the heck of it because I want them to behave the same way as the rest of the garments. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come right up close to the camera and I'm going to show you how it looks in comparison to the blue one, which is overlocked, and you will see the difference, although they're going to behave in exactly the same way. So as I said before, neckband and sleeve bands, we're going to make loops out of these. This is how we do our knit neckbands and sleeve bands. And don't forget, as I said, I may well be shortening this neckband. In fact, I'm reasonably certain I will be, but who knows, quite frankly. This is why you've got to kind of play around with it a little bit. Now, much as this stretches, you see it stretches a little bit, it doesn't need to. We really don't care that it stretches or not, we just care that it's together. So we're going to get rid of the extra threads there and do the same with the sleeve bands, and then we'll have 3 loops and we'll show you how to prepare those. I'm going to show you that when I've got the blue ones and the black and white ones. Now I wanted to give you a little comparison on the stitches and which different stitches you've used and how they behave differently. You'll be able to see quite well the very shallow zigzag I've used here, and that's on the black and white one, and that's on our standard machine. And it's still, if I can do that for you, it still kind of stretches really, really well. So we've got no problem with that at all. You will of course notice that the 2 layers here, you can't really press them open. You have to press them to one side. That's absolutely fine, except that that's how it's going to be, and it's all going to be good. So you just press them to one side on the sleeve and neck bands. And the same thing applies to this one. I'm not actually sure if you can see it because it's white against white, but this is the overlocked one, and again you can't separate them. They're now kind of one unit. You have to press all the seam allowances that way, but you can see, I move my chubby old hands out of the way, it still has a lot of nice stretch there. So either method, the zigzag on the normal machine or the overlocker, is going to give you a good result. And what you will get when you've completed these loops and you've folded them in half, you're going to get those there. Those are your sleeve bands. This one's curling a little bit on itself. Don't worry about that for now. But you can see it's double thickness. Okay, and that's going to go onto your sleeve to finish your sleeve. And of course the same principle for your neckline. So doesn't matter if you use zigzag, you use overlock, same thing, it's both going to work beautifully. So now we're at the end of part 2 of our sew along. We have our blue one here. Don't forget we're making that on the 4-thread overlocker. All our pieces are prepared now. Next time we're going to be joining that. We've also got our black and white stripe version. We're making this on the normal machine using zigzag stitching. and we're going to be joining that as well. And on the next one, on part 3, we will of course be putting the basic body together, so that's putting the sleeves on, shoulder seams, neckline. I'm going to also show you how to do this little kind of extra bit here. This part isn't in the pattern, but it's really quick and easy, and it's a nice thing to do. And if you're kind of fiddly like me and you like things to match, I'm going to use the same fabric on here on this one so that it all kind of pulls together. So we've got our overlocked one, we've got our normally zigzag stitch one, all ready to go and ready for part 3.